So it's 11 o'clock and I think we should go ahead and start. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in for our Customer Experience webinar provided to you by Bauer Executive Education at the University of Houston. This webinar will be recorded, and if the quality allows it, we will make it available on our website. Now, I would like to introduce Customer Experience expert, Stacy Sherman. Stacy, you're muted. I'm trying to unmute you.
How about now?
There you are. There you are. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so excited to get started. So today I'm going to talk to you about customer experience and several topics. First, I'll tell you who I am, a bit about me. What is CX, customer experience? CX is the acronym. Why it matters, who's doing it well. I'll provide an example, as well as talk about who owns the customer experience in organizations, what are best practices, and how can you increase your CX skills. So with that, let's proceed. Okay, so who am I? So I started my career many years ago in marketing. And when I was at Verizon, working there, I was given this role. We went through a reorganization and they said, well, now you're going to own CX. And I thought, well, what is that? What does that mean? And they said, it's this new thing. It's hot. Go figure it out. And this is many years ago. And so I did. I figured it out and then realized that this is, some even say CX is the new marketing. And we'll go into that. But in essence, now, having been working in corporations and then teaching and coaching people, I write for Forbes, all about customer experience. And I blog about it as well, which is doingcxright.com. So in terms of what am I known for? I am known for humanizing business and differentiating brands beyond price. And that's what CX is about. It's literally being able to differentiate companies. And it's through this technique of CX, which I like to phrase it as humanizing business. And I'm on a mission. Why am I here, right? I'm on a mission because I want to inspire great, authentic customer experiences fueled by engaged employees. At the end of the day, it's the employees, it's the people that deliver great customer experiences. So we'll dive into that. So what is customer experience? So as I mentioned, the term CX is the acronym for customer experience. So if you Google and you want more information, people will reference it as CX as well as customer experience. But in essence, it is the summation of all the different interactions that people have across multiple touch points. It's a customer journey. And so what I show there is the way as consumers, we will go through a process to be able to understand how customers learn, buy, get set up and use and bill pay. All of that is a process. And that's what customer experience is about, is diving deep into those different components. Because if you get everything right, if the learning and buying and getting set up your product is easy, but let's say paying your bill or getting help is so challenging, so difficult, you're not going to be able to satisfy a customer. And in essence, they'll consider, they make their decisions whether to stay or leave based on how that went. So the customer journey is what's really key here. So Why does customer experience matter? Well, it's not Stacy's guess. It's not a hunch. It's factual. And so I want to give you some research. It takes 12 positive experiences to make up for one unresolved negative experience. That's fact. And that's if the customer gives you a chance. And what I mean by that is a lot of times customers won't even tell you they're unhappy. They will just leave. And so you really have to think about, and this is why it's so important to do it right from the start, because it's so much time and energy and investment to make up for that one unresolved negative experience. Some additional facts. So CX is a brand differentiator. And the reason I say that, there's so much information behind this, but at minimum, when you look at the studies and surveys, we've learned that people are willing to pay more for a better customer experience. They're willing to pay more because when product and price are relatively the same, or even if a little bit more, it's the brand that delivers that great experience and happiness that customers will come back and tell others. And all along for many years, this Walker study indicated that customer experience will overtake price and product as a brand differentiator by 2020. I believe it's even before this year arrived, and it only continues to hold true. So I want to talk about a great customer experience example. I spoke before about that people are willing to pay more for a brand, a product that really generates satisfaction and happiness for them. So let's talk an example, and that is coffee. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know if you have a Starbucks near where you are, but this brand is doing so much right. And what I mean by that is I don't necessarily like to pay triple the cost for a cup of coffee. I can get coffee in other places locally in my area for probably $1. But here I pay triple the amount at Starbucks. But why? Well, it has to do again with the customer journey, which is when I go to Starbucks, even before I get there, I use their app. It's a great user experience. It's easy to order and it's easy to navigate. So even before I walk in the door, but then I walk in the door and it's that onboarding experience. So especially at my local area where people know me, they'll greet me by name. Hi, Stacy. How are you today? And many times they even know what I'm going to get. So it makes my buying experience so much easier if I hadn't already bought it on the app and then just show up. So getting my product, my coffee or whatever I order is really simple, but sometimes they make mistakes. And I love how brands like Starbucks will correct it, not make excuses, but they'll give me what I expected with no questions asked. And paying my bill, it's easy with the app, but even if you don't have the app, it's simple, it's effortless. And if I need help, same thing. The employees deliver a great experience so that when I walk out the door, I have my great product, a great warm feeling, and that's what other brands can do. See, customer experience, there are very methodical, scientific ways to do it, but I'm talking about the basics. Just get the basics right. So I want to talk about now, there's a lot of companies that are hiring and organizing around customer experience. Well, the question that often comes to me is, who owns CX? Is it a specific department? Should you have just a CX organization? Should it be does marketing own it? Do just the executives own it? Or the salespeople own CX? Who owns that in an organization? The answer is everybody. Yes, there are typically customer experience roles in organizations, leaders, but culture starts at the top. And it happens where everybody at the top is aligned and everybody through the organization is aligned. So everybody owns that customer experience in a consistent way. And this is really important. And that is about culture. Happy employees drive happy customers. It starts from the inside. So you've got to drive that employee engagement because they fuel the customer experience. So let's just talk about some CX best practices. There's a lot. And again, this all has to do with the customer journey. So let me just take you through a couple. So first of all, persona development and journey mapping. Those are two important terms. And that's about defining who's going to buy your products and services. So it's defining those personas. And there's a specific way to do that. We won't get into that today, but there's defining those personas and then defining the journey map with the journey that your customer would take, the ideal way, the way you want to design it. But after you do that, it's really important to validate with real customers that what you designed is actually meeting their expectations and needs. So you must incorporate what's called voice of the customer. VOC is the acronym. Infuse the customer at the table, bring them to the table when you're in the design phase. But you also ask them after you launch to get that feedback so you can continue to optimize. You also want to measure the customer satisfaction and their sentiments and a lot of other CX metrics to determine that how are you doing and benchmarking and improving. And that's at every single touch point in the customer journey. You also want to aggregate customer feedback. Now, surveys is a common way. You've probably received many surveys in your lifetime. And that is a very helpful, structured way to get the voice of the customer, but it's not the only way. You want to aggregate and pay attention and listen to the conversations like on social media, on ratings and review sites, and there's many more sources that we'll talk about on a different call of how you aggregate feedback so that you can really pay attention to customers' happy points and pain points. And then when you make improvements and changes to your products, your process, you want to let the customer know that you heard them, that you've made changes because of what they told you. And that's called closing the loop. Another important thing, and again, this has to do with the company culture, is getting the voice of the employee. What do your employees tell you that's important as you're in the design phase and the feedback that they're getting? You need to listen and understand. It makes them also feel important and empowered and engaged. But remember, you cannot replace the voice of customer with the voice of employee feedback. It's good to marry both, not one instead of the other. You also want to celebrate what good looks like. So if a customer mentions your employee, a salesperson, anybody by name, when they give feedback, make sure that you celebrate that person internally. And then when you don't get good feedback, use that for coaching opportunities. It's again, how you drive a customer-centric culture. And culture is, again, not one person's job. Everybody needs to own it, and it's part of your brand. And so it's got to come from executive champions at the top, as well as a bottoms-up approach that everybody is customer-centric and does what's right for the customer, especially employees, that they'll do right for the customer even when their boss isn't looking. And there's so much more. So in terms of the more, how to increase your CX skills, there's a lot of resources out there for you. There's webinars like this one. If you Google customer experience and CX, you'll see lots of experts talking about it. Listen and continue to learn. There's a lot of podcasts out there as well. That's very big, and a lot of interviews that you'll benefit from on some of the tactical approaches. There's books, there's blogs, as I mentioned, that I have a blog of doingcxright.com, where I also share the details of how can you do it right. And a lot of it is just getting the basics right, which is what we're talking about today. There's LinkedIn communities. I recommend that you spend time, just go in the search bar and you'll see there's a lot of CX professionals talking about best practices because they're like me on a mission to drive more great experiences everywhere. And then finally, I highly recommend you get certified. And that's where there's schools like the University of Houston that have customer experience certification programs where you will learn everything we talked about today. How do you define a journey map and personas? What do you do that? How do you do that? They give you templates that you could actually use at your job. They help you with how do you measure customer experience and all the fine details that we discussed today. So I highly recommend you look at that program, and I showed where you can register. What's also really valuable, I want to share, this is not advertised, so write this down, that they are offering, the school is offering a significant savings right now, where normally you will pay over $4,000 for this online class. And now in July as well, it is $980. So it's worth investing in you. And I can go into the why. If you'd like to hear more from me, I will share my contact information in a moment. But please write this down because this is, again, not advertised, this promotion code. If you go to the website today, you will not see $980. But this promotion code will get you that rate. And again, it will accelerate your learning, whether you're brand new to the CX field or you want to take your skills to the next level. That's what this course will do for you. So, contact information. So again, I mentioned the course website, and as well as the program director. I wrote Kelly twice, but it's just one Kelly. And she can help you with the fine details of the program. But I also can share with you my view, having taken the CX certification and teaching as well. And I could talk to you more about anything you hear today. We don't have enough time for Q&A, but feel free to reach out to me on my website there, doingcxright.com. And you can also find me on social media, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on Twitter. And I hope that you found this valuable. Again, just a very high level view. There's a ton more details to share with you. But again, this is a growing field. Why? As I talked about, it is the way to gain a competitive edge. It's not about product and price. Yes, you need a great product. But when it comes to a product and service and price being relatively the same, customers are going to pay more, like my Starbucks example, when they are truly delighted and it's a great journey. So it's in your control. I hope you take advantage of all the resources I shared today, and I wish you much success in the world of CX. Thank you again.
Thank you, Stacy. That'll be all for today. We hope to see you next time. Bye.